Hello and welcome back to the Grapple Theory podcast. Thank you so much for joining us once again. Now, today we are joined on the podcast by 25% of the Uprising, one of the most dominant stables in British wrestling, mainly known for their work in London at Pro Wrestling Eve, but feared all across the country. Now, we'll be talking to this wrestler about her career, about the Uprising, about Eve, about her singles run as well, away from the Uprising, and about loads more besides, including, holidays and travel and food. Loads of good stuff to look forward to. You're in for a real treat. I'm pleased to welcome our guest today. She is the deadly one. It is Nightshade. Nightshade, thank you so much for coming on the Grapple Theory podcast. Now, a few months ago, you had an injury. You've just come back from that. Talk to me about that. Is everything all right now? Are you all back to being 100%?
Yeah, I am back to 100%. I have found it really difficult coming back from injury because it's my first serious injury. And I think now it's a lot more of a mental thing than a physical thing. So my injury is fully healed to 100%. I'm fine. But every match I have, I'm really nervous about it. I really worry about re-injuring it. I'm like, oh my gosh, is my ankle going to be okay? So I think now it's more of a mental thing. But I find every match I'm having recently, I'm getting more and more confident. And I feel like I'm getting more and more back to my old self before injury. Because it really did take a lot out of me.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's totally understandable. Especially if it's your first major one as well. That's totally understandable.
Yeah. And getting injured has always been one of my biggest fears in wrestling. I've seen a couple of friends get injured, unfortunately. And obviously you see it on social media too, and it's always been one of my absolute biggest fears to get injured. And I literally thought I didn't know how I was going to cope mentally or physically if I was injured. And luckily my friends and my family took such good care of me, and I had to kind of take a step back from wrestling, not watch it too much because it made me a bit sad. But the recovery went really well and I wasn't in too much pain either. So really, I think for an injury, it actually wasn't too bad.
Yeah, no, that's really good to hear, though. That's really good to hear. And again, I was going to get onto that. In terms of again being your first major injury, you say not watching wrestling. I imagine that was just a bit sort of almost frustrating to be out and know it's going on and not be there.
Yeah, I found it really difficult, and I think having such a big break through COVID, I know there wasn't all that much wrestling on in general, but I had to just kind of take a step back from it and have a break from it then, because it just made me too upset not being able to wrestle. So I think having that big COVID gap and then getting injured just as I was starting to get my momentum back, it was kind of the worst timing because I had already been out for so long and I found it really difficult to get back into it after COVID, physically. I felt my body had changed and my wrestling ability had, I felt so rusty. So then I only felt I was getting back into the swing of things and then I got injured. So it was a little bit rubbish timing.
Yeah, no, that is really frustrating. But I mean, apart from that, how have you found, I guess aside from the injury, how did you find coming back from COVID and everything, in terms of, having not wrestled for so long, getting back into the ring? Was that quite simple? Was that almost like riding a bike, getting back into it?
I don't know, actually. I found it quite difficult because I just took a step back from, obviously gyms were closed, I couldn't train, and I didn't do any no crowd shows during COVID. So I didn't do any tapings, and I wasn't regularly wrestling. I know some people were, but I didn't really have the opportunity to do any of that. So for me, I just tried to train a lot before my first couple of bookings. When training opened, I just tried to train a lot. And luckily when we started being able to have bubbles, I also hired a training facility that me and my bubble could go to. So that was really helpful. But I think it was just scary. I always get so nervous before matches anyway, but coming back after such a long break, I'd never taken a break from wrestling. I'd never been injured for any amount of time, and I'd never taken a break on my own accord.
Yeah.
So I think for me it was just scary, but I did eventually fall back into it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's all a sort of like, it was a learning process for everyone, wasn't it? Because it had never happened before. So like everyone's sort of like, oh, how does this work? Like, are we going to be the same going back as it was beforehand?
Yeah, definitely.
But talk about then the last few months. I think obviously most people watching this will find you sort of synonymous with mainly Eve and the Uprising.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how have you found, let's talk about Eve in general, like, you know, coming back for them, obviously someone who worked with you, you know, beforehand and after as well. How has that sort of, I guess, transition been? Because there's been a lot of change at Eve, obviously, past the pandemic, you know, a few wrestlers have gone as well. And also things like not being at the Resgal anymore and stuff like that. Like, as someone who's quite a regular on the shows, like, how did you and I guess the girls backstage, like, all find that, you know, in terms of having that much change at Eve?
Yeah, I think we were just so happy to be back. Eve always has such an incredible atmosphere backstage and in the show in general. I think everyone was just so happy to be back and see our friends and our colleagues that we hadn't seen in like literally years due to COVID. It was a big change, and especially losing the Resgal. Losing the Resgal was so sad because it was a real special place that had a lot of memories for a lot of people, especially in the Eve roster. But I think there was a lot of changes happening anyway. We were just taking it all in our stride and just being really excited to be back to doing what we love, especially on such a big platform like Eve.
Yeah. I mean, how have the last few months been? Like, obviously it's been, you know, a sort of good progression from coming back at Wrestle Queendom, just overall at the shows. And for yourself and the Uprising as well, obviously it's been a really good few months. It must be really enjoyable to be back in the flow of it and to be, you know, having that bit of success again.
Definitely. I could not wait to get back from my Uprising sisters. I adore being part of the Uprising, and I absolutely love causing mischief with them. I was going to wear my Uprising t-shirt, but I actually couldn't find it. So I wanted to be representing the Uprising today, but yeah, I'm not entirely sure where it is.
No, but you always are anyway. And take me back to the beginning of the Uprising, because we just had Dan on the show recently, like last week actually. And by the time we're recording this, it'll be a couple of weeks after that. Or sorry, by the time this goes out, it'll be a couple of weeks after that. But we're talking all things even. And talk to me about the Uprising, and I guess first of all how it all came about, like in terms of the dynamic of putting you all together, and were you sort of like quite close before that, and like was it quite a natural thing to happen?
Yeah, it definitely was. Obviously, to begin with, the Uprising was just myself, Rhia O'Reilly and Livvii Grace, and we later recruited Skye Smitson. But I think we all have very similar wrestling styles. We're all just major villains and absolutely live to be nasty in the ring, and we all have that very like venomous side to us whilst we wrestle. So I think we meshed our styles and our personas and our looks all just really meshed so well, and it was so much fun being able to just like run down and attack people, and that shock factor of the Uprising just appearing here, there, and everywhere, and always causing absolute chaos. So it all just happened so naturally, and it was just such a fun, exciting experience. And I think especially when we went on to recruit Skye, I think being the four of us, I think four is a really great number. And I think all four of us, we all bring something slightly different that just makes us such a team.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, you know, you've got tag gold at the minute as the Uprising in EU. But talk to me about, I mean, I've got to ask you this, because every time we've had someone who's part of a stable, you know, more than two people in a team, we've asked it. And so I've got to ask you as well, otherwise that would show favoritism, and I can't do that.
Okay.
So obviously you guys hold the gold at the minute. But if I said to you, you could hold the tag belts and it's got to be you and just one other member of the Uprising, which one would you pick?
Oh, that is such a harsh question.
It is, I'm sorry.
That is so mean. Do other people actually know names?
Yeah, they do, yeah. Sometimes it takes a little while. Sometimes they are very frustrated with me for asking it.
To The thing is, we all bring, in my opinion, we all bring something different. And we all bring something unique. I think just free bird rules, to be honest, is my absolute ideal. Like, I think we should all have the gold and be able to defend the gold. But I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't think I can choose. I've been teaming recently a couple of times with Sky, and that's been really fun. I feel as though we have a really great dynamic, and I love that she is a lot quicker than me and very like snappy, and her offense is just so perfect. So I feel like we've worked quite well when we have been teaming together. Also, I've teamed recently with Rhia, which has also been a load of fun. The only person I've actually never teamed with has been Livvii.
Yeah, I was thinking
We've never been in a tag match together.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I was thinking back to, like, have I ever seen that? And I couldn't recall ever seeing it.
Yeah, no, we've never been tag team partners.
That's crazy.
Together. It is crazy. So maybe, because I've never experienced it, I should go out and I should say Livvii Grace.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
That's a fair answer. It's never happened before.
Yeah.
So,
and Dan, if you're watching this, get it booked, or anyone else.
Sky and Rhia have had it for, they already have it. They have it. So I'm going to go me and Livvii.
Yeah, nice. Take them on. Do a like Uprising battle.
No, never.
Well, I was going to say...
break up, ever.
Well, no, you talk about that. Obviously, we're not talking about any sort of breakup, but I wanted to get on to... You mentioned your dynamic with Sky, and obviously you had that match at... was it the last show at Signature, I think?
It was,
that was the She Won qualifier.
Yes.
And that was really good. I love the story there that you should... Because, again, like you say, you're all villains, and you're all sort of quite, aggressive in the ring and very much sort of take what you want. But, like, as a group, it's weird because, like, I don't recall any other time that we've seen sort of, like, that little bit of almost cracks or dissension in the ranks in terms of the Uprising.
Yeah.
But there you saw it a little bit. But I
wouldn't call it cracks. I wouldn't call it cracks. I think it was just very heat of the moment, Obviously, there was a bit of a mistake and Sky lost her match. I was trying to help, but I think it was just very heat of the moment, and we're always there for each other through good and bad. And I think, things just got a little bit out of hand, and we had to end up just fighting it out to then hug and make up and become even stronger, really.
For sure. And I want to just get on to the match itself as well, because, I mean, it must be, like, is it an odd feeling to sort of, like, be in a team with someone for so long and have that dynamic and always be by their side and then be facing them?
Yeah, it was really, really strange. And especially, like, I came out to my own music, I believe, and she came out to the Uprising music. And I was like, no, I want to both come out to the Uprising music. It was very strange, looking across from her in the ring and knowing that she's who I was wrestling was such an odd feeling.
Yeah. No, I can imagine. But also, like, I imagine it's... I guess it's quite good as well in terms of the fact it's someone you obviously know so well, and like that you could tell that in the ring. You could tell that although like it's weird seeing you against each other, that your like dynamics really worked well together.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we both know all of each other's moves. We're both very wise to each other's offense. So I think that made it a really interesting match.
Yeah, it did. It was really good. It was really good to see, which was really cool. Yeah, it's just very weird seeing you guys against each other. I was like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah, and I feel as though that may have been mine and Sky's first ever singles match. I don't think before the Uprising, I don't think we'd ever actually had a singles match. Ever. I could be wrong, because I don't have the best memory, but I don't think we'd ever wrestled each other. And
if so, that would be crazy as well, yeah.
Yeah, I really don't think we have. There may have been maybe like, I feel as though there was something like a multi-man match or something like that. But I really, really don't think we'd ever had a singles up until that point.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, that's really crazy. But like, again, with going, I guess, away from tag stuff for a little bit, what about like singles wrestling, like in terms of, other companies where you wrestle? Is that something, I guess what I'm saying is like, which do you prefer? Do you prefer the tagging, or do you prefer going out like on your own? Not necessarily prefer going out on your own because you're on your own, but like in the ring, yeah.
I really enjoy both. I think there's pros and cons to both. I love getting out there by myself, just being in my own headspace, getting into the zone, doing whatever I want to do, whatever I feel like doing, and just being able to control everything myself. I really enjoy that. But I also really, really like being a part of tag team matches. I love tagging. I love having that break when the other person is tagged in, and I love being able to like take a breather, analyze the situation, see what's going on, and take a bit of a break. But I also love bouncing off of each other in a tag team, and I've always gravitated towards teams. Like I was in Sanitarium and tag teamed a lot with Jayde, and I've just always loved being in a big stable or faction or tag team. So you always have that other person to bounce off of. And I think when you find someone that your chemistry really meshes and your wrestling styles are either the complete opposite, so they work really well, or very similar, so they work very well, I think you can just create magic in the ring.
Absolutely. And you mentioned Sanitarium there. We'll give a shout out to Jayde, because obviously we wish her all the best in her recovery.
Yes, I miss Jayde so much. I think her recovery is going really well, but I really wish her all the best in such a speedy recovery.
Yeah,
I love you, Jayde.
Absolutely. We hope to see her back soon, and it's really unfortunate because obviously the injury itself. But we spoke to her, and she was on our podcast, and the podcast was due to go out the weekend she got injured.
No.
So obviously we moved it a couple of weeks to give her that time as well. But we were talking about in that one about how she was waiting for you to come back from injury so you guys can reform Sanitarium.
I know, it sucked because me and Jayde have always wanted Sanitarium to go far, and we've always really wanted to like push it and get booked, in multiple places and be a really established tag team. But there just always seemed to be something in the way. We lost Shax, and then COVID happened, and then I got injured, and now she's injured. So it's a real shame because I find me and Jayde would get along so well outside of wrestling, that when we wrestle together, I feel as though we just really get each other.
Yeah, and you can tell, and that's really good to see as well in the ring as well, which is great. And again, one thing I wanted to ask you about Sanitarium was when we had Jayde on. I think I recall this correctly in watching that interview back for this. But she mentioned about how when you joined Sanitarium, she said you needed a hat, and you came in with a cowboy hat.
Yeah, I did.
So talk to me about that. Talk to me about how the cowboy hat came about.
Oh my gosh,
that's brilliant.
So obviously Jayde wears her big hat, and Shax wore her little like top hat. So when Sanitarium became a thing, we were like, oh, I need a hat now. Like I'm the only one that doesn't wear a hat. And I think this was before, because Sanitarium was quite a while ago. I think this was before I started coming out with my headpieces.
Yeah.
Because now I have a couple of different headpieces that I wear in my entrance. But this was before that. So they were like, oh, you need a hat. And my boyfriend used to wrestle as like a bit of a cowboy gimmick.
Right.
So he had a cowboy hat and was like, oh, you can have my hat. So I wore this cowboy hat for the first like 3 or 4 times Sanitarium came out together.
I think it's such a bizarre like mix, because like you say, like Jayde's style, like always, and with Shax as well, but it was always sort of quite gothic and dark, and like yours is like with Sanitarium, like now more recently, but just the idea that the cowboy hat has somehow got in the mix seems very it's very off kilter.
I know, it's so funny. It was literally just like the first thing, like I didn't put much thought into it. It was literally just the first thing available to me. I think really I should have come out with like a little black veil or something, or my headpieces that I wear now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was funny.
Yeah. So what were Jayde and Shax's reactions like to it when you came in with that? Were they like, just what? Like?
I honestly can't. I think they were like all for it. I think they were bigging me up.
Ah.
And now I look back, I'm like, you liars, telling me I look good in that cowboy hat. I wore it so many times too.
It's upsetting now that it's gone. It should have been just a running thing.
See, I actually left it in my wrestling case and it got absolutely crushed.
Ah.
And like every time I would wear it, it would be more and more crushed. So it got to a point where I was like, I should have to throw this away.
Yeah,
and I never mentioned it to my boyfriend again.
He's like, what happened to my hat? I don't know. Just disappeared, I guess. Brilliant. Well, yeah, big shout out to Jayde. Hopefully she'll be back soon and we can see Sanitarium once again ruling BritWres.
Definitely.
That would be great. Something else I wanted to get onto outside of the ring, which I find really interesting, and we've asked a couple of other people about this as well, is your stuff sort of outside the ring but as Nightshade on your Patreon.
Yeah.
So talk to me about creating that sort of content and what you enjoy about sort of that side of connecting with fans.
I absolutely love being on Patreon. It's like one of my favourite things. So everybody listening, go enjoy my Patreon.
There we go, yeah.
But I love giving people like the inside look. So it really is the inside look to my life, the inside look to my thoughts and my feelings behind wrestling. So I do a lot of vlogs on my tier where you unlock videos. I do a lot of wrestling vlogs, so like behind the scenes, getting to venues, the in and outs of wrestling shows and what wrestling weekends entail. I recently went to Barcelona with RCW and I did like a full vlog of the entire weekend going there. So it's really the backstage look of everything that you miss behind the curtain, you know? And also, I feel as though my patrons have just gotten to know me so well because I'm completely different to Nightshade, completely and utterly different. I don't even know how it happens, to be honest. But I love interacting with people. And it's one of my favourite things at meet and greets is hearing different people's opinions on the matches and the shows and just getting to know everyone because we all just love wrestling. So I find with Patreon I can be really honest and real with my patrons on there. And I also tell them when I'm not having such a great experience because I feel as though social media is very... you put your best foot forward on social media. Whereas on my Patreon, you know, when I was struggling, when I had COVID, I was very honest and real with my patrons and told them how much I was struggling, how much I struggled to get back into the gym and into training. And they were really there for me and I feel as though we have a real connection. So I love having that side.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It's really a lot of fun and I do try to create content quite often and answer messages and I always answer every message and every comment. So
that's
it's
really
a
cool,
really fun way of interacting.
Yeah, and that's nice for fans to have again that interaction with you and sort of feel like they're getting to know you as a person rather than just like you say just Nightshade.
Definitely, and I've done little votes on there as well, like vote for what outfit I should wear tonight. So if people like actually at the show, they get to have an input what gear I'm going to wear, which I think is so much fun. Like if I was really into a wrestler, like if I had a chance to pick my favourite wrestler's outfit, you know, like how fun is that in my opinion? And it's almost like as if I was like a YouTuber or it's like sharing those intimate details that I don't share on social media. Because for me, I really don't like social media. I hate it, and I wish if it wasn't for wrestling, I would not be on social media whatsoever.
Oh yeah, we've had a few people say that as well. Yeah.
I never know what to post, and I just absolutely hate it, and kind of avoid it at all costs. So for me on Patreon, it's just like chatting to my friends, and it's getting to know me and that backstage look into wrestling. And it's kind of like what it's like being a wrestler.
Yeah, which is really cool as well. It's nice to have that, like you say, that peek behind the curtain of what things are really like. And like you say as well, with both the positive and negative, it's cool to see. And I think it's important to see that, like, you know, you're not always on, you know what I mean? People have bad days and you're allowed to have bad days. And, like, showing people that that's okay is super important as well. Yeah,
definitely. And I always... I post loads of wrestling photographs on there that, you know, maybe you can't post all of them onto Instagram or to Twitter. I usually just post one picture, but I'll do whole photo sets on my Patreon. So you'll see photographs from all the matches, all of my professional photographs, whether I like them that much or not. And I always get my patrons to vote for their favourite photo. So I'll post like you can post a maximum of 10 pictures per post. So I'll post 10 pictures from like the same shoot. I'll be like, which is your favourite and why? And we often talk about which their favourite photograph is. And it brings a different perspective, because I think when you see a photograph for yourself, you're very harsh and you're very critical because it's you, but you don't see it through other people's eyes.
Yeah.
So I find it really fun and really interesting to see why other people have that favourite photo or what they like about it.
Yeah, for sure. Give you that different perspective on it.
Definitely.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, anyone who's not subscribed yet to Nightshade's Patreon, go and check it out.
Yes, definitely.
Brilliant. And I was going to say as well, you mentioned RCW there. I was going to ask about sort of like traveling and stuff, because I know obviously you posted a couple of pictures. You were out like sort of at the beach and stuff with Becca and with Alex Windsor as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like when you go abroad for those sort of shows, how much time do you actually get to like explore and chill out in the places you're going? Do you get a good amount of time to do that, or is that sort of, you know, down to you being like, oh, I could go like the day before, or I could go this early and make sure I have time?
So for my personal experiences, it's usually quite rare to actually see much of the country that you're visiting at all. For me personally, in the past, I've gone for one show. So I'll be taken out like the morning of the show, fly there, get picked up and go straight to the venue, get ready for the match, have the match, go back to the hotel, and then usually have an early flight the next day, because most people and companies are aware that if it's a weekend, you want to do as many shows as possible.
Yeah.
So they don't really want to spend the time bringing you out for the entire weekend when you could be wrestling here, when you could get a booking here on the Sunday, or here on the Friday, or something like that. And also, it's just so much more cost if they put you up for an extra night in the hotel or things like that. So for the most part, I actually don't get to see or spend much time. This is why I was so happy when RCW, they said I could come out on Saturday, which was the day of the match. So we got the earliest flight there Saturday. And then I came home Monday morning. So the entire of Sunday was an entire sightseeing day. And it was the best. I loved being able to actually explore Barcelona. And the company took us out and just treated us so fantastically.
Oh, amazing.
And yeah, it was really amazing. And that way you make so many more memories. And it was a really, really brilliant trip. So I definitely would love to spend more time in future when I do have international bookings.
Yeah.
But I know it's not always possible.
Yeah, no. But I get it. And that's really cool of RCW to do that and like let you have that experience, almost like a mini vacation after the show sort of thing.
Yeah, they're honestly awesome. They looked after me so well, and everyone that they bring out there, so they're awesome.
Awesome. Well, shout out RCW as well. Really great job.
Shout out RCW.
Awesome. So what about yourself then, like moving forward, say if we were having this conversation next year for either, any Uprising stuff or any other tag stuff or your singles run, like what else, would you sort of like to achieve looking forward in, say, the next sort of 6-12 months? Because I think I speak for everyone watching who says we want to see a bit more gold around the waist.
Yes, I would love some more gold, definitely. And I think collectively, I would love for the Uprising to have more gold too. I know we're already tag team champs, but I would love that.
Multiple,
I would love to also infiltrate as the Uprising other companies. So I'd love the Uprising to really start taking over.
Yeah, for sure. That's the thing I was going to say, like, in terms of not even abroad, but, like up north, places like North or like in Manchester with Catch and things like that, or TNT, so many places that the Uprising can take over, obviously. And yourself, you can take over as well in any singles action you might have. But like in terms of ambition, like, are there any specific places or people that you'd want to wrestle, be that, here or abroad, overseas, say America or Australia or Japan or Europe?
I would really love to go back to Japan. I would love to go back and wrestle for Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling again. I had such an incredible experience there, and there's so many girls on their roster that I would really love to wrestle that I'd never have. So I would absolutely love to go back there.
Yeah.
And it's amazing seeing Alex Windsor just win the championship.
Yeah.
So I'm so happy and proud of her.
Yeah, she's had a crazy year, hasn't she? I think we've said this to most people that we've had on who are like associated with Eve, that like Alex has just had like the craziest, most incredible year like since she came back. Like I don't think I've seen anything like it.
Yeah, she really has.
Yeah, it's been.
So I would really love to go back there.
Yeah, that's cool. That would be cool. And as well, we spoke to Dan about that relationship that Eve now have with TJPW as well, and like that seems like it is a feasible thing as well to have, like, or maybe you can have some of those matches you want over at Eve instead.
Yes, hopefully. Like I'd really love to wrestle Miu because I've encountered her so many times, and we've been on similar events and shows, but we've never actually wrestled each other. So I'd love to wrestle her, and I'd really like to wrestle Yuka as well.
Yeah, some great matches, some incredible dream matches to be had, like with that crossover just generally. Awesome.
Definitely. But really, generally, I just want to be wrestling as much as possible, getting better at wrestling, you know, improving my craft, and just, I would really love to just be taking over, either singly or as part of the Uprising, maybe even if Sanitarium is back. You never know. But I just want to wrestle everywhere, to be honest. So those are my, you know, ambitions, just everywhere.
No, absolutely. It's so much to look forward to, and can't wait to see what the future holds for you as well. And I mean, moving on to some more featurey bits, I mentioned this to you in setting this up, is our feature, What's in a Name? Yeah. And it's pretty simple. It's you know, it's essentially, and it's quite interesting. I'm really interested to hear what you say, considering what you said about like how different you are as a person to Nightshade. But like, what does it take in your mind to be Nightshade? And sort of tell us about the origin of Nightshade, where the name came from and where the character could develop from.
So with the name, I always knew I wanted a name that sounded like a superhero. I personally didn't want a name that was like first name, surname. I wanted a name that was a real alter ego. And I wanted a name that sounded like a character. Yeah. And sounded like cool, you know? Like, oh wow, like that's a cool name. Something that's a bit more, something that's maybe like memorable, you know? So the way Nightshade actually came about is I was struggling to find a name, and I was talking to my sister. Me and my sister are like the bestest of best friends. We get on really well. And she's passionate about wrestling too. So she always, in the early days, she always really pushed me to do things I wasn't so confident with, especially wrestling-wise. She was always pushing me and helping me in my wrestling, so I really appreciated it. And I was thinking maybe like Poison Ivy, but back then I was like really a lot more like gothic and into that sort of thing. And she suggested Deadly Nightshade, because I thought Poison Ivy was maybe a bit cliche. So she suggested Deadly Nightshade, and I thought that was perfect. So I started out as Deadly Nightshade, and then I decided to drop the Deadly and just become Nightshade. Yeah. And I thought it was like really catchy, had a real ring to it. I didn't know anyone that wrestled under the name Nightshade. And yeah, I just thought it was really interesting.
Yeah, you say you dropped the Deadly, but you are still deadly. Like, let's face it. Yeah, absolutely.
That's the thing. Like, I'm deadly regardless of having it in the name or not. And I have on my t-shirts like the Deadly One. So I get called the Deadly One because, yeah, Nightshade actually is deadly.
Yeah. Yeah, so what about the character development as well then, in terms of what was it that, again, was it almost that sort of superhero, supervillain style thing where you wanted your in-ring character to be very different from your, like, shoot persona?
I think character-wise, it's something that just came with time, really. And I think it's constantly evolving, and it's something that I just really go for in the moment. I think over the last couple of years and before COVID, I was really just trying to tie all the pieces together, getting my entrance jacket, which I love, and like my headpieces, and working on like my facial expressions and making everything have a bit more meaning. But I think I always knew I wanted to be real villain. I've always loved playing a villain, and that's just where I feel the most comfortable. And I feel as though Nightshade is just an absolute villain.
Oh, yeah.
Like, she loves being just mean and snarling at people. And I think I've really created that sort of look and persona. And I feel as though when Nightshade walks out the curtain, she does look like a real force.
Yeah.
And I think having that personality too, where I'm just snappy and horrible, it just goes really well.
Oh, totally. Absolutely agree. 100%. Like, you've got it down, really. Like, the mix of, like, name and character is, like, perfect.
Thank you.
No, it's really good. It's really cool. It's really cool. Well, we've got one closing feature here on the show. It's called Anatomy of a Pro Wrestler. And this is this isn't about Nightshade. None of this is about Nightshade. This is about you. And we're going to get to know a bit about you and your personality.
Okay, cool.
So I'm going to ask you a few questions and you let me know what comes to mind.
The first thing that comes to my mind?
Well, it doesn't have to be the first thing that comes to mind. You just let me know what comes to mind, like, as the answer of, like what you think of each one.
Okay.
So the first one is my favourite pre-show meal.
Oh. See, it being pre-show is a bit more difficult. If it was post-show, I'd be like, absolutely everything.
Oh, don't worry, we're coming to that later. That's fine.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Oh my god. Okay. Well, I actually am not too fussed about eating before wrestling. Like, I'm not in a two-piece. You know, I'm covered up, so I don't have to worry about like being bloated or anything. It's more like feeling sluggish and feeling like too full that I don't like. But I also feel as though to be going to a wrestling match, you have to be well fueled. You have to have that energy. So I always want a Monster energy drink.
Yeah, that's the classic. Yeah.
Need a Monster energy drink. I'm slightly addicted to Monsters. But I think food-wise, just something easy like a sandwich. Like, yeah, just a normal sandwich, I would say.
Yeah, we get that a lot. Monster, specifically Monster, like most people say any drinks, but specifically Monster. Like, I didn't realise how popular Monster was among wrestlers. Like,
oh my God.
It seems like wrestlers know no other energy drink.
It's like an absolute shop of Monster. Like, almost everyone has a Monster, and Monster is like my absolute favourite. And I think the flavours that they do is so diverse and delicious, and they have great zero sugar options as well as full sugar options.
Yeah.
So for people that are watching their sugar intake, I love Monster so much. I'd love to be like sponsored by Monster.
Yeah, that's the go-to. Like, I was surprised. Like, it's almost as if in my mind now that wrestlers know no other energy drink brand apart from Monster, because that's how popular it seems to be.
Monster is absolutely elite.
It's the top tier, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't care about the food. I'm all about the Monster. And
then if the Monster's not there, then it's ruined. Then you might as well just not have nothing. It's just like, oh.
Yeah, if I don't have a Monster before my match, I mean, it never happens because I always have a Monster before my match. But I'm genuinely upset. Like, genuine upset.
Yeah, like real anger there. And then you can take that to the ring, though. That's...
Yeah, just bring it to the ring with me. Think about my lack of Monster.
Yeah, like the promoter's like, oh, Nightshade seems way more aggressive than not.
Because I didn't have a Monster. This is another thing I do on my Patreon, actually. When I find a new flavour of Monster, I will give it a rating.
Nice.
So I do like Monster ratings when I get a new flavour.
Love it. Awesome.
Yeah. So all my patrons know how much I adore Monster.
Nice. Brilliant. Well, the next one is what you've been waiting for then, because it is my favourite post-pinfall pig out.
Oh! So I love pasta.
Nice.
Pasta is one of my all-time favourite meals. And any type of pasta, any type of sauce, I just adore pasta. It's probably my all-time favourite dish.
Nice.
Is some sort of pasta.
So that'll be like post-show you come home and you make it, or will you pick it up from somewhere? Because like...
I do love going to a restaurant after a show, but it's very rare time-wise, because usually the show's finished so late, and then you have like a couple of hours to get home, or even more than that.
Yeah.
So it's really rare that you get any food other than like a McDonald's straight after a show. But if it's like a Sunday daytime show, I would love to go to a restaurant after my match.
Yeah.
That would be like my ideal. I'd go to like an Italian restaurant. I'd get a big bowl of probably like spaghetti. Maybe we can keep it simple, like bolognese or like a meatballs, lots of cheese.
Nice, obviously, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. Well, you sort of answered my next question because the next question is like your favourite type of food just generally. Would you say it's pasta?
I would say I am very adventurous when it comes to
Mm,
food. So I love to try new things. I love to try new cuisines and new dishes, especially like traditional food.
mm,
Especially when I go to other countries, I love trying their like traditional foods.
yeah.
But I'm not fussy at all when it comes to food. I like most things
Mm.
and I just love food in general. I wish I didn't so much, but I absolutely love. I'm a real foodie and I really enjoy going to restaurants
Nice.
and eating lots of different types of food. Oh, sorry, my cat is here.
Oh, that's fine. That's all right. That's not a problem. You may have
Oh,
seen it.
bless
Alexis Falcon had her cat like during our interview with her, and like the cat was walking all over a keyboard. It was like
she always does this. I think she did this in a live
oh,
Eve as well. So she just loves cuddles and affection.
just wants the attention. Just wants to steal the show.
She really does. She wants to be on camera.
Yeah.
But I often say that my favorite cuisine is like Japanese
Yes.
because I love sushi
Mm.
and I really like ramen and I love the noodle dishes.
Yeah.
Like I love noodles as well because it's so similar to pasta.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I think the flavors when it comes to Japanese are just so interesting and delicious.
Yeah. Yeah. Me and my partner, we're like all about Japanese food. Like we'll cook it like 2 or 3 times a week. Like
Oh, sounds amazing.
it's really good. It's really
And
good.
I think as a cuisine, I like more Japanese than I do Italian because pizza I'm not so fussed about.
Mm.
And obviously I love pizza. Who doesn't love pizza? But I love like greasy takeaway pizza,
Yeah.
like a Domino's.
Yeah.
If I'm
Yeah.
gonna have pizza, I want like a Papa John or a Domino's or a Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
I don't want like Italian stone baked,
Mm.
you know.
Yeah. You want the actual it's bad for you stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I totally relate. I get it. The next sort of topic is music. So the first one is the song that gets me the most hyped.
Oh, and this is day to day. This isn't Nightshade.
This is just day to day.
This is me.
Yeah,
Ooh! Okay, I love music. I love like 2000s music.
Mm,
Like Britney Spears, Shakira,
nice.
like Pussycat Dolls. I love that type of music.
This is very
So,
different. This is very eye-opening.
yeah, as Nightshade, probably the song that gets me hyped most is my entrance scene.
Mm,
Because, that's like going into battle, like ready,
yeah.
game face, like getting in the zone. But for me personally, like I love like music that makes me feel good, music that makes me want to dance, music that makes me happy.
Yeah.
So all of the like music that I got brought up on,
Mm.
like Britney Spears, I think she's such an idol.
Oh, she definitely is. She absolutely is. Like proper icon stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love a bit of Shakira, like Hips Don't Lie.
Yeah. Banger.
Yeah,
Love it.
absolutely.
Awesome. Well, the next one similarly is my favourite band of all time. It doesn't have to be a band, it can be like a solo performer, but my favourite music artist of all time.
See, I know this makes the game really boring, but I'm really bad at picking favourite.
Are you? That's fair
Like
enough.
all of my friends literally have a go at me because they'll ask me a simple question like, "What's your favourite?" Blah blah blah, and I'll be like, I'm not sure. I am terrible at like picking favourites because I just like so many different things, and I always try and like see things in the best way possible.
Yeah.
So I find it difficult to actually pick favourites. But I would definitely say it would probably have to be like maybe Britney Spears or maybe even like Miley Cyrus.
Nice. We're talking like proper pop divas here. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I've always loved Miley Cyrus and like, I grew up watching Hannah Montana.
Yeah, obviously. Same. Yeah.
Yeah, so like music like that, I love it.
Yeah. And Miley's gone through like this crazy like change in her music as well. Like she hasn't kept it all the same. Like she's gone she's really varied her stuff.
And she's so talented as well. Like such an incredible voice.
Yeah.
I don't understand how people can hate on her.
No, she's really good. It's not even my sort of music at all, but like even I admit like she's got crazy talent.
Yeah, and when I'm down, I will literally listen to Nobody's Perfect by Hannah Montana.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just such a feel-good song.
All I imagine is like, because that's the scene. It's in Hannah Montana where like she's singing it with like Dolly Parton or something, isn't she? And like in like their house or whatever. And like that's all I know that. Like.
But I do like lots of different types of music.
Mm.
So even though that's like what makes me feel good and like pumps me up and like hypes me up, I do really, really enjoy lots of different styles of music. Like I had a real big like rock, emo, kind of grunge phase.
Nice. That's the more Nightshade stuff. That's
yeah, and I really appreciate that style of music, and I love live music. So I love just hearing the instruments live.
Yeah.
And even if it's a band I'm not so fussed about, I think live music is just so good.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
So I like most genres of music. Like, there's not a genre really I can think of that I'd be like, oh, turn that off, you know?
No, that's fair enough. And you mentioned live music, and that brings us perfectly on to our next topic, because it's the best gig I've ever been to.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I am having to think. I actually haven't been to that many like concerts. But the best one. I think it has to be the Skins.
Nice. I think we literally interviewed Sunshine Machine like a few days ago, and Chuck Mambo said the exact same thing.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So this was a band that my boyfriend was into.
Right.
And he'd never seen them live. And for his birthday, around his birthday, they were touring. So I decided to take him and bought him tickets. And they weren't anywhere near us, like whatsoever. So I decided to make like a fun weekend of it.
Right.
And like book a hotel, and like we had a bit of a road trip. We went to see them in Norwich, actually.
Oh, okay. Are you London based as well? Because obviously I know that's mainly your like area.
I'm right down south. So
okay.
I'm like on the south coast.
Oh, are you? Can I ask where, if you don't mind, like obviously revealing? Because like
I'm not far from Brighton.
I used to live in Brighton.
No way.
Yeah, I literally moved up to London like 3 years ago for work. But like I spent my entire life in Brighton. Yeah.
Well, I'm actually originally from Buckinghamshire.
Right.
So I've always lived in Buckingham. Like I grew up in a little small village in Buckinghamshire, like Buckingham born and bred.
Yeah.
But a year ago I moved down to the south. Amazing.
How do you find it?
I really like it. I like it a lot more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
Because I was so used to living where I'd literally always lived my entire life, I was a bit apprehensive, but I love it down here. Being so close to the sea is so nice. Like, I can literally just about see the sea out my window.
Lovely. That is amazing.
It's really nice. And recently I've been into going swimming in the sea.
Yes. Yeah.
Especially as it's so hot right now. I'll like go down to the sea and go for a swim, and it's really lovely.
Yeah, I do miss Brighton a lot. Like, I like living in London, and there's, again, like you say, when you spend your whole life somewhere and you go somewhere different, it's kind of weird. But like now I'm just like, London has like so much going on that I'm like, oh, I like it, but like I miss definitely being by the sea. Like Brighton, I love. Like London and Brighton are the only two places in the UK that I'd want to live. Like,
yes, definitely. And my boyfriend's originally from the West Midlands.
Right, that's even more of a change, yeah.
I know, but he has been living in Milton Keynes for a little while.
Oh no, not there. No, I went there to see My Chemical Romance, and my God, it's the most confusing place I've ever been in my life.
Oh, don't. See, when I lived in Buckinghamshire, Milton Keynes was like my nearest city. So that was like my stomping ground.
Oh, it's so weird there. Like, it's so random.
Everyone always hates on Milton Keynes, but it's actually, once you get used to it, it's actually a really cool place. I really like it there.
Okay, maybe I didn't have enough time there. I spent obviously the weekend there, but maybe I needed more time to get its charms.
Definitely.
That's fair enough. That's really cool you live down there. That's why I was so interested, because I was like, I wonder.
Yeah. So, yeah. But obviously with me and my boyfriend living in like slightly different places, I thought we'll just go to this concert in Norwich. And because I bought him tickets for his birthday as a surprise, I listened to like a few of their songs and I really liked their vibe. But it wasn't like a band I was like really excited to see. I was excited for him to go and see it.
Yeah.
And we got there and like it was a really cute, like intimate venue, but it was still big enough to have a really good atmosphere. And like they came on and it was just so vibey.
Yeah.
Like it was so much fun. I had a couple of drinks. I mean, my boyfriend was dancing, and it was like probably my favorite concert experience I've ever had.
Nice. I love that. I love when like, again, like someone can like sort of sway you on a band or like a type of music or something.
Definitely. And I'm a real like people person. Like in my personal life, I love my close like friends and family being really happy, and like seeing them happy makes me happy.
Yeah.
So it's like I'd rather, like, I was just so excited to see him be in his element and like love it, that made it so much more special for me, and like made it for me, really.
Yeah, I love that. That's brilliant. That is brilliant. The next one is it's movies. It's the movie that I'd show the locker room.
The movie that I
show the locker room.
Show the locker room.
Yeah, the movie you show, like, so like you go into, say, like Eve or something, and for some reason everyone's got there like 3 hours early, and you walk into the locker room and you're like, right guys, we're watching this film because this is the best film.
Oh my, see, I could never do that. I'd be like, oh my gosh, guys, let's sit and chat for 3 hours. Or I'd be like, whatever you want to do. What's your favourite movie? I could never ever be like, we're watching this.
Love it. So selfless. I love it.
But what I always say my favourite movie is, I don't know whether it is or actually isn't my favourite movie, but because we have this favourites trouble, every time anyone asks me what my favourite movie is, this is my answer: Mean Girls.
Of course, classic.
Yeah, again, it's very much like my childhood. Like one of the first like films I absolutely loved, and like it's so funny, so entertaining, such like a girly film. So Mean Girls. I would say Mean Girls.
Love it. No,
and then
classic.
Also, it's not too serious. It's not too gripping.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to be fully focused on it. Like,
you can have it on in the background or something. Yeah.
And recite it as well. Talk about their outfits.
Love it. Brilliant. The next one is my favourite way to relax.
Oh, I absolutely love going to a spa.
Nice.
I love a spa trip. Like, I absolutely love it. Like, going for a little swim. But I say swim, but really just like a frolic in the water.
Sure, yeah.
Like, just like bobbing around. Like, not swimming lanes. Just like having a little float.
Yeah.
And I love getting spa treatments. Like facials, massages. It makes me feel so relaxed and so at ease. Or going on holiday.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Lovely. Well, we'll get to that. Don't ruin too much of that, because we've got a couple of holiday questions later on as well.
Oh, I love going on holiday so much. Like, I literally live for holidays. But sometimes they're not relaxing. Sometimes it's like a party holiday, or like an excursion holiday, or a city break.
Yeah, so much.
Sometimes they're not the most relaxing.
Yeah. Nice. The next one is a bit of a throwback, because it's my first job.
My first ever job was on the Urban Decay makeup counter.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a I think it was like a summer position. It was a like limited time position, and it was like selling the makeup and doing little makeovers.
Yeah, nice. You enjoy it?
Yeah, I love makeup.
Nice. Yeah,
so it's something I'm really passionate about, and that's something I really enjoy playing with is Nightshade too.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm a bit more adventurous than other times. Coming back from COVID, I was like, I'm going to be so adventurous with my makeup. I did like photo shoots, like black lipstick, and like I put like glitter all, and like I tried to be like really adventurous in my makeup. And like I had a photo shoot where I do like flames coming up over my eyes, and then I just like, it's so time consuming.
Yeah, I imagine. It's not my sort of thing. I'm far too lazy for that, to spend that much time and effort.
No, and now so many of my promo pictures since coming back from COVID have like black lipstick, like really good makeup. So the other day for She One, actually, I thought, I best do black lipstick, because it's in like so many of my promo pictures.
Amazing, brilliant. Well, next one is if I wasn't a wrestler, I'd be.
Oh. Sorry.
That's fine. No. I appreciate you need time to think about it.
I actually don't know.
Did you have anything else like growing up that you were like, I want to be that?
No. I always just like, I don't know, I never really knew what I wanted to do. Like when I was a kid and all my friends were like my sister was always like, I want to be a marine biologist. And like all of my friends, like every couple of months, they're like, I want to be this, or I want to be this, or I want to be this. But like, I never really had that.
No, that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
And then I got into wrestling, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's what I want to be when I'm older."
This is the
That's
thing.
just never gone away.
Yeah.
Like I just want to wrestle.
That's
like,
really
that's
cool.
it.
And that's it. That's nice. That's awesome. Like, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
I totally get that.
But other than wrestling, I don't know. Maybe like I find like makeup and hair and fashion really interesting. Like maybe I would like to. I don't know. Like, oh, okay, get paid to travel.
Yeah, who wouldn't love
There
that?
we go.
Yeah.
Like that's like my biggest hobby going on holiday. So like if I could like be like travel, like I don't know, like is there a job where people just test resorts on holidays?
There is. There's that sort of thing. Or like, so I know that like it's not the area like that I'm in, but like I've had a few like newspaper jobs. And they always send round like emails like every month or so being like, who wants to go on this holiday for like to write a feature about it?
That's what I want to do. That's what I would want to do if it wasn't for wrestling. Yeah. I would just want to be paid to like go on holidays, like take cute pictures and just enjoy the holiday and rate the resort. Well, I love a good rating.
Nice. Well, I promise you now that if Grapple Theory gets big enough and we can do that, you can be our travel correspondent.
Oh my god! Wait, no, you actually have to keep your word.
I will. No, I will absolutely. If we become big enough that can actually be a thing, we'll have wrestlers abroad sort of thing.
Okay. If I'm not booked on the shows, I'll just go over and like do the reviews and stuff and the podcast.
Yeah. Review the show. Be like, yeah, this was great, but also I went and did this.
Yeah, show was good, but my best meal I had.
Show was good, but let me tell you about the beach. The beach was where it was.
Literally, like, wrestling show, we've all seen wrestling, but the beach.
Love it. Amazing. The next one gets a little deep because it's my greatest fear.
Oh. That is quite deep.
It doesn't have, if you don't want to go super deep, we don't have to, but like people say things like...
No, I think it would be something deep, because like, I don't really like spiders, but it's not like my greatest fear.
Oh, mine is.
So, I don't know, it'd probably be like coming to the end of my life and being like disappointed.
Yeah, sure,
and
I get
feeling as though like I hadn't achieved the things I wanted to achieve, or just like not like feeling like I hadn't lived my life to the fullest or been happy. Because for me, like a massive thing I strive for is just being happy. Like every day I just want to be happy and enjoy myself. So I think if I got to a point where like, I think that's my biggest fear, like dying unhappy.
No, I get that. That's understandable. We've had a few people say that as well. Like, and that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that. But lifting it back up to more positive stuff, we got a couple of wrestling things.
Okay.
So this is like a two-part. It's my favourite wrestling match. And there's like the two-part is, the first part is your favourite wrestling match you've been in. And the second part is your favourite wrestling match that you haven't been in.
Yeah.
So what would those be?
I'm like the favourite. Picking favourites, I honestly find so difficult. I think one of my favourite matches I've ever been in was against Mercedes Martinez for Eve. And it was quite a while ago now, but I just, like, I'd always watched Mercedes when I was growing up. I used to love Shimmer. Like, when I was younger, I used to order all of the Shimmer DVDs.
Yeah.
And, like, me and my sister would get them for our birthdays and for Christmas. And I loved her on Shimmer. So I think when I got the opportunity to wrestle her, I was just really shocked and excited. And she was like everything I ever imagined her to be. So, and I really am like happy with that match and loved it.
Yeah, like a pinch yourself moment sort of thing.
That's probably my favourite.
Yeah. Go on, what about your favourite match ever, like just that you've watched? Or is there one, even if you can't like pick a favourite, is there one that like sort of sticks in your mind as like, It
probably has to be when I was a lot younger, like when I first started getting into wrestling.
Yeah.
Which my memory's a bit hazy, but like I think when I was younger, when I first discovered it, I was just so excited by like everything wrestling wise. So I think it was probably, and I first discovered wrestling, I found the WWE and I started watching WWE. So I think it would probably be I used to love The Undertaker.
Yeah.
And I think it would probably be his streak matches at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was lucky enough that I got into it a couple of WrestleManias before he lost his streak.
Right, okay. Like
So I had like the whole, like I understood how much of a big deal it was, and like watched it live and like paid for the pay-per-views and like stayed up to like 1 a.m. And I think just the whole excitement around that and like watching The Undertaker, I think that's probably like my favourite experience in matches, I would say.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. The next one is, of course, the obligatory My Dream Match.
Oh, do you know, I don't really think about stuff like this.
No?
I know it's like really weird and like people literally have like lists and things, but I just love like going with the flow. Like any opportunity that's handed to me, I'm like, yes.
Love that. Yeah.
So, yeah. And I think also as I go through like phases, like different eras of my life definitely have different answers.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
So dream match wise, I'm actually really not sure.
Too many is the answer.
Pardon?
Too many is the answer.
Yeah, far too many. Like, I really can't pick.
No, that's fair enough. The next one is, again, we'll say in person, it's the loudest pop I've ever heard.
Oh, that's a really good question.
Like maybe backstage or something, or even when you're in the crowd, like something that just sort of like, you know, blew your mind in terms of how loud it was.
Oh, I'm trying to think.
That's fair enough.
I definitely have had a couple of times where I've been like, oh my gosh, the pop for that was insane. But I find it hard to remember like specifics.
Sure.
Like I'm really bad with like names and like details. I remember like feelings a lot more than like actual specifics. So I've definitely been backstage and been like, what the hell has happened there? Let me like go and like have a peek. Or like I've definitely been in the crowd and thought, oh my gosh, that is a crazy pop. But I can't pinpoint.
No, that's fair enough. Yeah, I imagine as well, like being backstage for shows, you probably heard some like crazy ones, and like at some point you can't remember everything, right? That's fair enough.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of the time, like I lose track of time so much backstage. Like I don't even really know which match is on, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh no,
hurry, quick.
No, honestly, like I don't know what happens to the time backstage at wrestling shows.
No, like, it just flies, doesn't it? Yeah. No, brilliant. Fair enough. The next one is well, there are two more favourites, I guess, if you were saying like that have favourite in the question. So we'll see what you say for these. But the next one is my favourite venue to wrestle in.
I don't know. Again, I'm gonna go for like a typical heart-wrenching answer, the Res Gal.
Yeah.
Even though part of me actually hated wrestling there because of the heat. Because I hate being too hot.
Yeah.
Like I absolutely hate it. Like I'm not made for the heat whatsoever. So part of me hated it. But I think like the nostalgia and the atmosphere, I'm going to say the Res Gal.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah,
I'll try and be a bit more decisive in my answers.
No, that's fair enough. That makes sense as well. You're right about the heat though. Like I've been in a few venues as well, like where like down at Riptide in Brighton. Speaking of Brighton, down at like Riptide in Brighton, like that the heat there was unbelievable in that venue. Like it was such a great venue.
And I absolutely hate wrestling when I'm hot.
Yeah,
I hate it. Like I would rather the room be cold, like cold. And a lot of wrestlers that I say this to, they're like, what? Don't you want to like warm up and like feel all warm? And I'm like, no, I hate feeling warm. I hate it.
Yeah.
And I get so like, it gasses me out so much as well. Like being too hot, that's something I struggle with sometimes in international bookings. Like when I was in Barcelona recently, just felt so hot.
Yeah, height of summer as well. Yeah, oof.
Yeah, and even though the venue had like air conditioning, so I shouldn't have been so hot, but oh my gosh, I was so hot. And then I find it really like slows me down. I find it a lot more difficult.
That's fair enough. Well, we only got a couple of questions left, and this is the travel part. The first one might not necessarily be travel because it's my favourite place in the world.
Oh wow, these are like such good questions.
Oh, thanks.
These are such deep questions.
Yeah, I like to make you think. Yeah, I like to make you work for it.
My favourite place in the world.
But it can be like, it doesn't have to be a place. Like, for example, we've had people say like countries, but we had Kid Bandit and Scotty Rourke on, and they said it was like their beds. So like it can be anything from a country to a specific armchair. Like it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking maybe like home, but at the same time, like I don't have a problem being away from home whatsoever.
Right.
Like, I obviously miss my, like, creature comforts, and I miss my family more than anything, but, like, I actually find home is more like a feeling than an actual place.
Yeah, like who you're with rather than where you are.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But my favourite place I've actually been to is Jamaica.
Nice.
I went on holiday to Jamaica earlier in the year, and it was so lovely. Like, I really wish I was there again so much. Like, I have such the holiday blues.
I hate that. Like, when you get back from holiday and you're like, oh, now what? Now it's just building up to the next holiday.
Yeah, it's like, we went in March, and it's now July.
Yeah.
So we went ages ago. But it's like I love that feeling leading up to a holiday. And I, like, have a countdown, and I, like, buy loads of new outfits, and I just, like, look through the pictures, and it makes you so excited. I feel as though I was waiting for that holiday for such a long time, and then it just goes way too quickly.
Oh, it always does, yeah.
And then I come home and I'm like, oh, I wish I was still there.
I get it. I understand that completely. Well, the final question then is, let's say not Jamaica, let's say somewhere you haven't been, because it's my dream holiday destination.
Ooh. See, my dream destination was always Japan.
Right.
But that was to wrestle, not holiday.
Yeah, everyone says that. And I'm like, you can do both. You can wrestle and have a vacation.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Because I went over, I think I was there for like 13 days, almost 2 weeks. And I had so much time. So, like, I really went sightseeing. And, like, I felt like it was the perfect mix of, like, holiday and wrestling.
Yeah.
So that was always my dream, but I feel like it has to be somewhere I've never been.
Yeah, or you can say Japan if you want to go there for like just the vacation and like go to other parts.
I think I would say like Australia and New Zealand.
Nice.
Because I've always really wanted to go to New Zealand.
Yeah.
I think it looks amazing. And Australia as well. I think it has to be either Australia or New Zealand.
Nice, love that.
So I'd love to go there.
Yeah, it would be the flight and the spiders that would do it for me without, like, for not Australia. That would be my, like, put off.
Yeah, definitely. It's just so far.
Yeah, it's so far. Yeah, no, but I get that.
I'd love to wrestle there.
If it was like, if Australia was like, I say this about most places to be honest, if it was like 2 hours away, I'd have been there like multiple times already.
Oh,
like,
yeah, 100%. Yeah, and it's just so expensive. Like, it's so costly going that far.
Yeah, but they are cool. Like, definitely would like to do that. Awesome, brilliant.
Oh,
well,
thank you.
Fantastic. Nightshade, thank you so much for coming on the Grapple Theory podcast. It's been such a delight having you on.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been so much fun.
Of course, I hope you enjoyed it. And we always end every show by giving our guest a final bit of promo time. So, for the rest of this year and into next year and beyond, whether it's someone coming to see yourself as a singles wrestler or whether it's someone coming to see the Uprising, why are Nightshade and the Uprising going to dominate the rest of 2022 into 2023 and beyond?
We are going to absolutely dominate because that's just what is within us, you know. We're going to just take over with such a force, especially the Uprising, as a union that cannot be broken. And we're not scared of anyone or anything. Any match, any opportunity, any show, any company, any country, and we will deliver. So the Uprising are going to go far, and I hope also Nightshade, as a singles competitor, is just going to carry on having more and more matches and just destroying opponents, basically.